What's up, everyone? I am Joshua Banks, driver of the number 35 Matco Tool Supra.
Banks, he's gonna send it to the inside. They're 3 wide for the race lead. They're gonna Joshua Banks is gonna win it. Unbelievable.
And also co-owner of M&J Distributors for the sponsor of Saturday Night Racing. So I just want to thank every single one of you for tuning into tonight's race. I hope you will put on a good show for you guys. I hope that you will enjoy it. So if you do, make sure you drop a thumbs up to VSPEED and subscribe to them, because they, as y'all know, if you haven't already, they put on some great broadcasts. So I'll make this short and sweet. The main reason for sponsoring Saturday Night Racing League is because I've been with these guys for a long time. I've raced with a lot of them. I've been through some rough times, some good times, and arguments and everything like that. But still, grand scheme of things, been through a lot of these guys, and I really do like where this league's going. I want to support it. They've given a lot to the league already, and I think, you know, I'm capable to support back. So that's what we're doing, and we want to keep this league free, you know, for people to join, to have a good time, come in and race and just have fun, you know, and that's what we're all about. So that's the main reason, and that's all I really have to say about it. So I hope you do enjoy the race, enjoy the season coming up. We are hopefully going to put on a great season for you guys. Also, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Banksy the iRacer. Link will be in the description. Check out, and you can see my point of view, see what's happening on my end. If you want to watch it, it's completely fine. If not, no big deal. So come on over, hang out after the broadcast of this race, and hopefully we'll see you over there. If not, enjoy it, and I'll see you guys on track.
Lap traffic out of the way. It's between these two. They're even for the white flag lap.
This race still very undecided.
Bradley had the lift. Big run for McWard. This is going to be his chance.
They're running out of time, and they know it. Horsepower at their feet.
That was a huge run for Bradley. He got back the advantage, but here comes a big dive. McWhorter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, they put him in the wall. They're going to crash. They both crash. Here comes Ray Massey. Ray Massey's going to win it.
Racing enthusiasts, are you ready to take your sim racing experience to the next level? Look no further, because 29 Graphics has got you covered. Introducing 29 Graphics, the premier provider of high-quality sim racing wraps. Whether you're a professional racer or weekend warrior, our custom design wraps will make your car stand out from the competition. 29 Graphics is now the official graphics design partner of Saturday Night Racing League.
It's a big dive. McWhorter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, they put him in the wall. They're going to crash.
Contact 29 Graphics on their Discord or the link in the video description.
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
In the heartland of our country, something magical is happening. At Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes, we know the power of community, of hands coming together to create wonders. These costumes are symbols of love, compassion, and inclusion. Your hands can craft dreams. Join us at Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes build events and be a part of something extraordinary.
We're in the New England states, live from Loudon, New Hampshire for chase race number 4 of the season. It's season number 3 here for the Saturday Night Racing League and presented by M&J Distributors. You're live here on VSPEED for Saturday Night Racing. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Connor Horn, Bradley Cooper up in the booth. Connor, we got a lot to talk about. The points lead has changed hands yet again. And setting up here for these final 2 races, we can have our 3rd champion in the 3rd season. But Joseph McWhorter is still looking to go back-to-back. Jeff Wright looking to get his 2nd. They're still in the hunt. But Joshua Banks, 7 points over the rest.
You can't forget about the guys behind those 3 as well. Joshua Banks has been great all season. Jeff Wright, don't need to say anything about him. I think if we asked Joseph McWhorter, he'd be disappointed with how this season has gone for him. But he's still right in the title fight after how crazy Talladega was. We saw Adam Cabot get another win at Talladega. He won 2 in a row, but he's not in the playoff battle, in the chase battle. These, I'd say, 6 are. I don't believe Alex Bell is here. I think he has to tend the baby duties. Congratulations, Alex, on that part of your life. But Ryan Carlisle's still right there. He had a good run going at Talladega. He's 15 points back. You can't count him out either. You really got 5 drivers within 15 points, all under a blanket. Any one of them can still win this title.
Absolutely. And so when you go look at how many drivers are in this race, we have almost 30 cars here tonight. And so with a lot of leagues getting towards the end of the season, they usually have a lower car count. That's not been the case here at SNR, so it's very easy for you to have a really bad night. If you get caught up in something early, get knocked out of this race, there's no fast repairs, you get on pit road, can't get back on the racetrack, well, you're just going to count this one as another asterisk to your season. Quick look at the track map here. New Hampshire Motor Speedway opened June 5th, 1990, and it's stayed pretty much the same since its inception. I believe it was Mark Martin that found his way around this place so easily in the early days, and all the way up to the end of his career was always one of those drivers to look out for when we came to this place. But it is very limited banking here, 2 to 7 degrees, and we were talking a little bit pre-race there, Connor. Drivers complaining about the entry here on this setup, bumping off the racetrack. The splitter is definitely going to be a factor when you're entering these corners.
But what I heard from a lot of drivers as well, what you heard from drivers like Jeff Wright, for example, is that at least the exit is good. A lot of times when you get a setup at New Hampshire, the exit of the corner is where the car struggles. But tonight, it's going to be on corner entry where the splitter's hitting the ground hard, shooting the drivers up the racetrack. That could spell trouble on entry for side-by-side racing. If the driver on the inside hits a bump wrong, shoots up the track, we could see a lot of incidents entering turns 1 and 3 tonight. So the drivers got to be aware of that and give each other a little bit of room at those ends of the racetrack.
The race analysis up on your screen right quickly, but we have a driver that qualified on the pole. He's going to be doing the EOL challenge. We were just witnessing that as we're still setting the pace here, but 151 laps, 4 tire sets available, 80% fuel, and of course all the drivers running on a fixed setup with 3 green-white checkered attempts possible here tonight. But with that, let's get you trackside, get that grid up on the screen. Casey Licata is starting on the pole here tonight. He will be the Clark Print Shop EOL Challenge. So shout out to him and getting that. We'll see if we can get it done. $10 added in every single week for that. But starting on the pole technically here tonight to lead him in to turn 1 will be Joseph McWhorter with a 31.048. Row number 2 belongs to Chuck Sweeting with Jeff Wright in the 4th position. Row number 3, Mark Whitley, Bailey Turner in 6th. Then you have Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Max Koss for row number 4. Rounding out your top 10 here tonight, it's going to be Joshua Banks and Ryan Carlisle.
Pretty important guys, 11th or 20th. Nick Wood, still important in his own right. He starts 11th. Kyle Peacock in another Camaro will start in the 12th position. Ray Massey, the winner at Bristol a few weeks ago, will start in the 13th position alongside Johnny Rapp in the 52 with the bright green numbers. He starts 14th. Eddie Trejo in the United Rentals 21 Camaro starts 15th alongside Jonathan Smith in the 72 Harpoon Design Racing Camaro starting 16th. Philip Brewer all the way back in the 17th position in his Brandt Camaro. A lot of Camaros. He's alongside another Camaro, Jerry Bergeron. And then rounding out the top 20, one of the league admins, Bryce Shoemaker, in a new paint scheme this week. He will start alongside Michael Jones in the Napa Auto Parts Chevy Camaro.
Mark McFadden will start in 21st position with Kenny Kibbe in 22nd. 23rd goes to J.R. Shepard. Matt Shanoski will start 24th. 25th position, Derek Garrison, Christopher Hodges. 10th in points here, starting at 26th, electing not to take a time. 27th and 28th, Austin Belke, Eric Garrison, and rounding out your 29 car field is the 31 of Keith Shoemaker. So again, back there to Casey Lakatos. He would be the Clark Print Shop EOL Challenge. Participant must get pole and the EOL and a victory to get that award. But live from Loudon, let's take you back to the front of this field where the green flag is about to come out. Second to last race of season number 3 is underway.
McWhorters are going around. He's trying to save it. I think he's going to. He sent it into 3. That's what we were talking about pre-race. If you try going too hard on entry, you're gonna hit the track hard and maybe loop yourself around. That could have ended his title hopes. I don't know how he saved it.
Got to the inside of Chuck Sweeting there. We'll go back on the instant replay and take a look at what happened to Joseph McWhorter. Had a good run out of 2. Got to the inside of Chuck Sweeting. But right here is where it all goes wrong. Locks up the front end a little bit. Drifts all the way around. And thank goodness Chuck Sweeting was there. I think that's the only thing that straightened that car out.
He just saw his life flash before his eyes. Anything can happen to Chuck Sweeting, as we've seen in this league. Somehow he survives that one. McWhorter did as well. Now he's back to 6th, and notably that puts Joshua Banks, one of his title competitors, ahead of him in the top 5. But that could have been so much worse.
Joshua Banks not getting any practice here tonight. Showed up right at the start of tonight's session. Wasn't able to turn any laps to figure out this setup. He's out here on pretty much, he's running green. I don't know how these other drivers felt after, 30, 40 laps of practice, but a lot of them complaining, and he's just now figuring out, hey, this thing bounces off the racetrack and it handles a little bit ill.
And he's going to have to fight that a little harder than everyone else, because everyone who did get practice laps in, Whitley had a big slide for a second, but everyone who practiced during this session, they know what to expect. They know how to get into the corner to avoid that bump and to avoid that happening and wearing your tires out by doing that. Banks is going to have to learn that on the fly, which is going to be a disadvantage, I think, for the long run, because he's going to have to learn that while everyone else kind of knows what they're doing. But he still looks pretty fast regardless of that. He started 9th. Obviously got a row from the 50, but he's already up to 5th.
So look back on board here with the 35. You can see him working that wheel back and forth, trying to get around the 24 of Bailey Turner. This is for the 4th position. And then you can see Chuck Sweeting, Jeff Wright, Mark Whitley pulling away a little bit here as those guys went side by side. Looks like Banks getting a better run out of the corner, but he can't do anything with it. He'll take it to the inside here. Side by side through 1 and 2. It looks like a better turnoff now for Bailey Turner.
That's one thing that this setup has kind of provided. It's provided kind of a different line than what you're used to seeing on iRacing at New Hampshire. You saw Bailey Turner last time in 3 and 4, and even McWhorter's doing it this time. They're going almost to the apron below that yellow line. As a matter of fact, off exit, he is going below the yellow line Bailey Turner is. That's something we just don't see very often, but it's kind of because of how this setup is. You're trying to avoid those bumps. It's not really bumpy down there.
All the way down on the apron through 1 and 2, working really good through 1 and 2 for the 24 car. It's a little sideways for the 73 McWhorter, but both of them slide off of 2, and McWhorter's now going to have the advantage for 4th position.
Whitley fired it into 3 because he's not him and Turner are the ones really trying that apron entry in turns 1 and 3. Pretty much everyone else is kind of doing what you would usually do regardless of setup, just kind of running right where the banking happens. That bottom dotted line, under that, that's where it's pretty much flat. Anything above that, that's where you get that very little banking. The drivers use that to their advantage all the time.
8 laps completed already. Chuck Sweeting has led all of them. The 7 completed, about to be number 8 out of turn 4. And this is one of those drivers that we usually don't show the camera on, but it's kind of difficult when you're leading the race. So Chuck Sweeting having a phenomenal day thus far. Got some cars in the wall back here. Sound like Kyle Peacock maybe tagged the wall coming out of 4.
I think he, don't know if he did. If he did, he didn't get too much damage out of it. Up to a 10th position. He started 12th, battling with Ray Massey, winner of Bristol a few weeks ago, like we mentioned. Oh, spin! Wreck in the back. One car around. Yep, Philip Brewer, 44.
That'll bring out our first yellow of the night. Not quite to lap 10. The 44 Brandt Camaro is going to go around. Doesn't look like he collected anyone else. Look on the instant replay, though, if he had some help.
On the bottom of the racetrack, you're going to wash up a little bit just because how flat it is. And he just came up a little bit too much right into, I think that was Johnny Rapp. I think Rapp got the worst of it. He hit the wall pretty good. Right there, he just shoots up the track. Kind of just gets into the left rear of the 52, and 52 kind of has to hit the wall to collect the car. I think, yeah, you can see a little bit of splitter damage on the right side. Should be repairable.
So a minor first caution here to start the day. And interesting enough, Bailey Turner, the lone car down pit road here for the top 10 drivers. This is kind of surprising, but we got to go back and remember Bailey Turner is one of those strategic drivers where maybe he's not on raw pace, but he can hang with the lead. If you give this guy a chance to come down and take 4 tires, top off with fuel, he'll absolutely take it.
This is going to be interesting. You get 5 sets total, so you get 4 tire changes in the pits. Mathematically, you take a set pretty much every 30 laps. So these guys taking a set lap 11 is definitely going to be interesting. Shanosky, obviously Brewer, and obviously Brewer came in. Keith Shoemaker and Christopher Hodges did as well. But yeah, it's very early to be getting a set. Looking at the tire fall off, it was about maybe 5/6 of a second for race leader Chuck Sweeting. So I think those tires will make a difference, but putting yourself back in all that traffic is very, very risky, especially with how crazy we saw the initial start was at the front with the 73 sliding. Everyone was everywhere on the track from 12th on back, so it's definitely a risk, but maybe for him it's worth taking. But he is kind of on his own because, like we said, there was only about 3 or 4 others that came down with him.
Yeah, and you put yourself in that traffic, and we saw what happened deeper in the field. It's kind of a traffic jam, if you will. It's difficult to pass, and yeah, with the tire advantage, maybe that'll help for a few passes, but eventually you're going to even out. I would say, 10 laps, that's going to happen really quickly. Whereas if it was maybe like a 20-lap run, I think you'd be more likely to work your way back into the top 10 before these guys hit pit stops. Hopefully we can see some green flag pit stops, and I know Bailey Turner's praying this race goes green from here on out because that works into his strategy.
Yeah, I think if this goes green, it will work for him, but the last thing he wants is a yellow in maybe 20, 30 laps, because then he has to pretty much pit, and if he doesn't pit, he's going to be very slow compared to the rest of the field. But if he does pit, he's going to be down a set. He's hoping that doesn't happen.
Green flag back underway, second time today here. Chuck Sweeting leads him into turn 1. Jeff Wright all the way down on the apron here through the entry of 1 and 2. Almost slides up into the 73, gets some damage.
That was wild. That was an incredible send, and I don't know if it worked for him. I think the 73's nose is clean, but the 48 did get some decent right rear damage out of that. As Whitley, huge dive bomb to go to the lead. You'd think this is a dirt track racing. Here goes the 75 with a crossover out of the corner, but now Whitley has positioning on the outside. It's up to Chuck Sweeting whether or not he wants to send it into the corner.
He will.
In the favor back. Whitley kind of denied him. They're going to make some contact on the exit of the corner, though.
A lot of contact there with that right rear of the 75. Chuck Sweeting holding on to the point as of right now, but like you said, disadvantage and more contact into the entry of 3.
Sweeting kind of went up the track there trying to enter higher and maybe exit lower. It's not going to work. Whitley got what he wanted. He's going to take the lead. Almost hit the wall. Doing it. Oh, into the wall. McWhorter, big hit to the outside wall there. I think that was off the bumper of Joshua Banks. Now he has damage.
And you think there was 10 laps to go.
We just got word they're penalizing the 24 for laying back on the start, so Bailey Turner is getting a drive-through penalty. It is like it's 10 to go.
I'll have to go back and see if we can find exactly what happened here.
It is chaotic. He was making good progress. He's up to about the 16th position. Let's see, he's back here. Probably, leaders are probably near the zone.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that one.
I don't know.
I didn't really see anything on that.
I mean, the way it goes when you're double file, you're going to have some checking up, stacking up, and you're going to be a little bit spaced out. I don't think he was trying to lay back and gain an advantage. If you look at where he is compared to the 81, he's at the same spot. Him and Shinovsky are pretty much even. So
Yeah,
I don't agree with that.
that.
I think he's going to protest this because he's not coming in yet, so I think he's definitely going to plead his case, which I think he should. I don't think that's a penalty, but we'll see how that gets ruled.
75 of Whitley takes
Nope,
over the point there.
He is serving the penalty.
This drive-through is going to feel like an eternity here for the 24. He's most likely going to go a lap down here. You see Whitley is just now getting to turn 3.
He'll stay on the lead lap. No, he'll stay on the lead lap, and at least he'll have a tire advantage to work with, but this almost kills any part of that strategy working for good. So he'll still be on the lead lap by a decent bit, but I'm sure he's livid.
There's Turner going into 3. Here comes Whitley off of turn 2 now. So good enough there to stay on the lead lap, but now has an 18-second deficit and about 10 seconds to Mark McFadden in 28th position. Long way to go. Now he probably is praying for a yellow.
And I don't think he wants a yellow early, though, because then he'd still be down a set and in a bad spot. I think at this point he wants it to go maybe 50 laps, 40, 50 laps green and then get a yellow. That's probably what he would want to hope for.
So the other factor that we haven't really talked about driving the line later in this run, some of these drivers are going to start downshifting to 3rd gear. And Connor, I don't know about your opinion, but I know for me, I like to stay in 4th gear. It's a little bit more stable off the corner. But based off this setup, how much they're having to slow down to prevent from bouncing off the racetrack, maybe downshifting would be advantageous.
I think you might see some drivers at least try it. Just with the way the gearing is in these Xfinity cars, it just really gets sideways when you shift into 3rd gear. So you got to be absolutely sure that you can handle it. If you try it at a bad spot on the exit of the corner, try gassing it up, you're probably going to go into the wall, just like Bryce Shoemaker just did from what I just saw. So you have to know how to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to be faster for you, and you probably just are better off sitting in 4th gear. But I would think some drivers are definitely going to try getting into 3rd gear.
Off of turns 3 and 4, Bryce Shoemaker trying to get around Kyle Peacock. This is the 11th position battle on your screen right now. Door contact with the 43. That's a teammate right there.
And that was another case of just the car bottoming out. You saw Shoemaker was fine, and then he hit those bumps, and the car just went straight. There's no turning action once you're going over those bumps and the splitter's hitting. He had no control at that point.
Riding on board, we'll show you what we're talking about. You'll watch this wheel. It almost jerks out of your hands when you start to bottom out on the entry of these corners. Watch right here on Shoemaker. You can see it slides a little bit. A little bit better entry, a little bit higher that time around. When he's pinned down there below on Peacock, it was difficult not to hit those bumps. So now Chuck Sweeting makes a mistake, and that allows 2 cars to the inside.
Jeff Wright, I think, is just a little bit faster at this point. Dove to the bottom in 1, stayed to his inside on the exit. Was able to get that spot. That exit is going to pretty much do the same. Chuck Sweeting is not committed to riding that way bottom line, but neither has Mark Whitley. Whitley stayed pretty high on entry and then cutting it low to the apron on corner exit. While the 48 to 35, they were going low on exit, but they were kind of just keeping it down there. So you're already seeing different lines working out for different drivers.
Checking back in with Casey Lakatos, the Clark Print Shop EOL penalty, EOL challenge rather. Trying to work his way back into the top 10. He's up to 14th now, looking inside of Jonathan Smith. Got us surprisingly fast here in qualifying. I know you weren't expecting it. I wasn't either.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting it. I was shocked when it happened as McWhorter just got by Chuck Sweeting for 4th. But yeah, the 50 put down a good time. I'm interested to see if it translates to race pace. But he's done a good job so far, up into the top 15. Only 25 laps in. There was a yellow, but even still, looking pretty good.
Somebody else on pace right now is J.R. Shepard in the number 98. He's gained 12 positions. Biggest mover of the race thus far. And now working the outside. Here comes Kyle Peacock on the inside, rather. Kyle Peacock back to where he began this race in 12th. Brief look there into 1 and 2, but back single file down the backstretch. Max Cost, a name we didn't get to mention last week. The last race 2 weeks ago. Seems like forever ago. I was in Vancouver for that one.
You didn't get to mention his name. You never got to mention his name once.
No, I never got to say it.
And he didn't have a good race either, unfortunately. He got wrecked out late, but so many drivers were still in the race. He didn't get a good finish, but still the most starts in this league's history. I believe he is making start 54 tonight, to be exact. He is 2 ahead of Joseph McWhorter, still looking for that first career win, but he's pretty fast right now. Top 10 in qualifying, and he's still running in that top 10.
Eddie Trejo just ahead of him. And
Jeff Wright. Sorry, he hit Jeff Wright tapped the wall out of 4. I thought he was crashing, but he did keep it straight. I can't believe the lines these guys are running. I've never seen this at this track before.
It's unique to the setup. Rewind here a little bit to take a look at this. All the way down on the apron on the entry. Seems to be tag the apron in 3, drive all of the apron through 1 and 2, but maybe I rewind a little bit too far here.
Little bit.
So it'll be the next time by.
But it's a good way to look at the lines that are the differing lines. You see Whitley's entering high and exiting low. 48 and 35 are doing the exact opposite. And I'm interested to see if, as this run goes longer, what the effect on the tires are for all 3 of those drivers running completely different lines. And you can see it just literally polar opposite, except the 48-35 kind of turned down on the exit of 4 at least, and that's where he hit the wall. I thought he was wrecking. But it is really intriguing, and it's kind of cool. I don't usually like racing at New Hampshire myself in the car, but this is entertaining to watch, as Banks got that 2nd position away from Jeff Wright after the wall tap.
So Banks up to P2, shaving away that lead. Has the points lead coming into tonight. The 35 has been strong in these 5 chase races. It really turned up the heat there in the end of the regular season. Put himself in a good situation. Here he is now, 2 races away from possibly being the 3rd season champion. I know that we've talked to him before. You know, he's had his frustrations, he's had his moments, but I think it all finally has come together here in season 3.
And this is the best case scenario, one of the best case scenarios. Obviously, he's not leading the race, so it's not literally best case scenario, but he's ahead of all his title competitors. He passed the 48. He's faster than the 73 right now. Bailey Turner's had his issues with the penalty. And Ryan Carwile, who's also still in the fight, is running in the 7th position. He's ahead of everyone he needs to be ahead of right now.
Run down to your top 10. Whitley, Banks, Wright, McWhorter, Sweeting from the top 5. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Ryan Carwile, Ray Massey, Eddie Trejo, and J.R. Shepard for the top 10. Max Cost has fallen back to 11th. Kyle Peacock back to 12th. This field has all but single filed out. Couple battles still going on this racetrack. You can look back here. Michael Jones just getting passed by Matt Shinoski in the 81. That's for 23rd spot.
And also not too long ago, Bailey Turner got by Eric Garrison for the 26th position. So it's pretty impressive. He's already passing cars with how far back he was because of a drive-through penalty. But that's where those fresher tires are a little bit of an advantage at this point. He's still running laps faster than the race leaders. He's under 18 seconds behind Mark Whitley. So that's at least one silver lining for him, is that those tires are helping him kind of bring that deficit back down at least a little bit.
There's Chris Hodges, 20th position, looking to the inside of Jerry Bergeron. He's He's been trying this pass now for about 5 laps. We're watching it there ahead. We were talking about Shinosky and Belke, and those guys still not able to quite get around the one car. It's going to be rather difficult down there on that inside line unless you're touching that apron. We haven't really seen that from the 51.
That's the toughest. It's just so tough at this track. Any flat track, it's going to be hard to pass to the point where you're probably just going to have to move someone, but we haven't really seen that quite yet. It's funny how multi-group this track has kind of looked considering how flat it is, but both lines are working pretty well right now. Hodges is not really losing too much on corner exit on the bottom of the racetrack. As you can see, both these drivers kind of on edge right now, running 33-second lap times.
Bergeron not going to give it there. There's some move to the inside again for the 51. Almost slid up into the door.
There was some contact. There was some contact between Banks and Whitley. I was going to note that battle for the lead was heating up, but in 1 and 2, this previous time by, Banks got to his inside. Whitley kind of chopped him, and there was contact between the two of them.
Quick look at that.
Whitley's kind of changed his line now as well. He's on the bottom line. Banks just had a big slide off of 2, so that battle's going to kind of subside for now, but it was pretty tight. I think Whitley felt the pressure and felt he had to change something up, and he has, you can see. Try to maybe put some air on the nose of a 35. And that might in turn make Joshua Banks change his line.
Back on board with Joshua Banks. Started in 9th position. 7 spots to be here right now. Whitley is running a lot lower than he was earlier. Get a good drive off of 2 there. Watch Banks on the entry of these corners.
Dirty air is real. As you can see how hard he's pushing it, you'd think this is a final lap, he's going for the win. But you can just, dirty air is a thing. You can tell Banks was faster than Whitley, he was reeling him in. 77 kind of chops him a little bit, puts dirty air on the nose of Banks, and now he's back with at least a somewhat comfortable lead. It might not look comfortable on corner entry with how Banks is running, but it is comfortable for now because he changed his line, giving dirty air to the 35. He can't get through the corner the same way he needed to catch him. That's kind of those mind games that go on when air blocking. Even at a track like this, it still matters.
Now Banks is working back up there with a lot later entry than the 77. You got to wonder if the right front is eventually going to get tired of that. Based off of our fuel count, probably going to make it to around 70 laps on fuel. It's going to be tight.
And no one hit. A little bit of a shorter fuel tank. I am interested to see how far these drivers can go. I don't think you can make it to halfway to make it a one stop, but maybe that's where Bailey Turner might benefit. Maybe he can get a stop out of it. We'll just have to see. There's no real way to tell. We're coming up to lap 50 in about 10 laps or so. If we see people pitting then, that'll be a telltale sign of which strategy is going to work or not.
Bryce Shoemaker, Jonathan Smith. Pass there for position. Shoemaker works his way up to 13th now. Jonathan Smith kind of going backwards here. Was up in the top 10 at one point, back to 14th now for the 72. And of all the Harpoon design cars that are out here on this racetrack, this one performing a little bit under par.
Just had a pass for 6th as well. Ryan Carwell had been working over Taylor Butcher-Benjamin for a number of laps. He just finally made that pass work. Then behind them, J.R. Shepard's trying to work over Ray Massey for the 8th position. Another one we're trying to make the bottom work, and it's just so hard to get that rotation and get the corner exit you need, but Massey actually had a slip out of 2, and he's going to get that spot.
Shepard continues this tear into this top 10. 15 spots gained now up to 8th as he goes by Ray Massey.
Sorry. Bryce Shoemaker was sliding out of into 3. He saved it. I think he got into Peacock. This is a angry bunch.
Well, I can tell you that the fans love it. When you're oohing and ahhing here, don't ever feel bad for it. Gives me a reason to move these cameras around.
There's no reason to move them right now. You got about 7 or 8 cars under a blanket. 2 of them are sponsored by Brandt, as Bailey Turner still charging back through this field, getting this top 20 position from Jerry Bergeron. Still 15 seconds back, but he's gained a lot of time. Tires are starting to even out. His times are really not much better than Mark Whitley's right now. As a matter of fact, Whitley is faster, and he's pulled away from the 35 of Banks since those two came close to each other, as Kibbe's looking to the outside of Bryce Shoemaker. That is tight action, but he made it work.
Kibbe up 8 positions up to 14th now. Gonna try to get another one. Looks like the high line really coming in. You saw the play down there on the apron, but it seems like on the outside is starting to prevail for some of these guys. That might have been the plan all along.
Now, I'm starting to think the bottom line might be faster if you're pushing, but I think just running higher and cutting it down might be better. Mark Whitley last time by was 0.3 of a second faster than Joshua Banks and Jeff Wright. He is checking out all of a sudden. It was a close battle, as Jeff Wright's going to hit pit lane, lap 44. That's earlier than I anticipated. A few others, McFadden, who's a lap down, is also coming in, but Whitley was getting away, and I think Jeff Wright saw that and pivoted.
So a call here on the strategy for the 48 team in contention for this championship. Of course, Mark Whitley not in contention for it. His teammate Joseph McWhorter is. You see the yellow spoilers and splitters, that windshield banner signifying 29 Graphics chase drivers. A little bit of a blink issue there for McWhorter, but you just carry on here, lap 46, and Jeff Wright was one of the only cars to come down pit road that time by.
He might be the only one committing to a 2-stop, that, or he just wanted a short pit for the 2-stop and maybe get the track position over the 77 and 35 for the next run, because I think track position is still going to matter. It's really hard to pass here, and we saw how the dirty air affected the 35 once Whitley took his line. As I think Banks sees what the 48's doing, he's going to commit the pit lane.
Maybe this is going to force the hand on some of these guys. Wouldn't think that they could go. I mean, based off of Jeff Wright coming in, Banks coming in, it's probably not long now before you see the rest of this field try it.
You just don't want that yellow. You don't want that yellow right after you pit. That might trap you a lap down. And Jeff Wright is lucky dog right now, but he just wants to get back on the lead lap and not even have to start tail end. Banks is going to have to deal with the same thing. Thought Whitley was coming in there, but it's how fast Jeff Wright is compared to the older tires. And you can see this is what happens when you have a tough setup that some drivers figure out and some don't, as it looks like Taylor Butcher Benjamin is pitting, as is Ray Massey. Just how spread out this field is. McWhorter's about 4 seconds back of Whitley. It's another 4 seconds back to Ryan Carwile, the next closest driver. This is, you saw that gap, that kind of gaggle of 6 or 7 cars near the 15th position, like right here, but at the front, it's really been spread out.
Well, I just wanted to point out there how difficult it was. Even Jeff Wright on fresher tires, he went to the inside there, Mark Whitley, and came out of turn 2. They matched speeds. So even on fresher tires, it's difficult to get around a guy. And you know that Whitley is going to try to keep Jeff Wright a lap down as long as he can. But finally, the 48 was able to get by.
Derek Shepard came down the pit lane that time, still waiting on majority of drivers to come down. We'll see what Bailey Turner wants to do with a little bit more fuel in the tank, as a few others came down there. Austin Belkey I see there. I think that was the 31 of Keith Shoemaker as well, as Banks is trying to unlap himself, but compared to everyone else, Mark Whitley has a big lead, and it's growing because Joseph McWhorter hit pit lane. Like Eddie Trejo is down, so pretty much everyone looks like me committing 2 stops. Trejo's down. Bryce Shoemaker this time came down.
I can confirm that Whitley is downshifting. I can also confirm he's coming down pit road.
I don't know how low these drivers have been running out of 4. You never know.
Yeah.
But he did pit that time. Carwile's going to stay out. Maybe get a bonus point for leading a lap. Chuck Sweeting is going to hit pit lane. Here comes a lot more drivers. Kenny Kibbe, Jonathan Smith. Not a lot. How about 2 more?
There's the 81, I believe, of Matt Shinosky also in pit. Chuck Sweeting in as well. And Sweeting was one of those drivers that started out pretty hot here today, but has since kind of fallen out of the picture. He's pitting from the 8th position here to start this round of green flag pit stops. Ryan Carwile takes over the lead. They get his first lap led of the day. Max Kost coming down pit road now.
Peacock pit as well. Peacock pit from like the middle of the racetrack. That was dangerous, but he got away with it. Jerry Bergeron comes down. And that turn 4, Jeff Wright, I think right now would cycle out to be the race leader, and that short pit did work. He has a gap over Joshua Banks to work with, and compared to Mark Whitley, he has an even bigger gap to work with. But I don't think it's as big as they wanted. I think I would have expected him to have been further ahead of the 77, but that's not quite the case. I'm just interested to see what Bailey Turner does now as another driver peeled off the pit. I think that was Derek Garrison. If he thinks he can make it on fuel with only one stop, I think he's going to commit to it, considering his championship is on the line. As a matter of fact, I heard him coasting into turn number 1, so that would confirm my theory.
He'll try to stretch this out as far as he can. Remember, it was about a lap 11 when we had that caution that brought some of these guys down pit road. And if it's possible, the 24 will try it. He also had that pass-through penalty, and I don't know that it really saved him any more extra fuel, but I'd say probably a little bit here.
Yeah, no clutching into turn number 3, and he didn't do it that time either. That might have been just a one-time thing trying to test if he could do it. You can clutch into corners maybe at 1.5 miles or at like Kansas or at Auto Club. I would not want to try it here. Heavy braking and very sharp corners. It smells a recipe for you're going to hit the wall pretty hard. So I don't think you can clutch and coast here. You just kind of have to be very careful on the brake and just try not to use as much throttle. Much harder to save here at a track like this compared to a bigger track for sure. Can't shift either. That's another thing you got to cut out.
So Philip Brewer, who was part of that first caution, up to second position. Ryan Carlisle still continuing to stay out here on lap 55. We have about a handful of drivers, about 5 or 6 of them. It's actually 4 drivers confirmed that have not hit pit road. Michael Jones, Casey Lakatos, Bailey Turner, and Ryan Carlisle.
And Philip Brewer as well, who's actually in the second position.
Correct, yeah, he's been out there 45 laps. He came down, I believe, there with Bailey Turner.
And that's crazy, because they're right next to each other on track now. Brewer's actually running in line. No one's running way up the racetrack, kind of how you would run a modified on iRacing, but he did not have a pass-through. The 24 did, and this is a distance between them on track for position. That shows Bailey Turner's speed, for sure.
Raw pace here for the 24. You see him there in the 3rd position. Just behind him, Casey Lakatos. Clark Print Shop EOL Challenge. Lakatos still out there on the racetrack on the original set of tires. Starting to approach that halfway point here. Another 16, 17 laps, Connor. I don't know. Maybe they can make it one stop. There might be more guys committed to that than we thought.
I'd be shocked if Carlisle or someone else could do it. That'd be really, really tough, as they got 3 wide out of turn 2 around our race leader, Carlisle. Then Mark McFadden kind of stacked them up a little bit. This is the chaos of differing strategies, because you got the drivers on fresh tires trying to unlap themselves, while the leader is just trying to not get wrecked by everyone passing them. Yeah, just trying to hold on for dear life, basically. And I just saw Joseph McWhorter has just disconnected from the session. He dropped out of the session.
So connection issues for the 73 of Joseph McWhorter, and that spells trouble for going back-to-back this season.
That is the worst thing to happen, to not even really get a chance to maybe defend because your internet drops randomly. He was 7 points behind Banks in second position coming into tonight, and that's going to be really hard to recover from. Like Lakatos is coming in. Banks has caught Jeff Wright for position. That would cycle out the Beaver Race lead as the 50 comes down the pit. Banks has caught the 48.
So this is for the 4th position. What you said would cycle out to be the lead. Bailey Turner will probably take over the point briefly here. Remember, Turner, another one of those drivers that is in the hunt for this championship. You're watching two of these drivers right now. Your points leader, third in points here is Jeff Wright. Most likely going to take over the second spot guaranteed. With the problem for McWhorter, 7 laps down now, has yet to reconnect to this session. But if we know anything from Saturday night racing, it's that they tend to go caution-free, and so the likelihood of McWhorter getting these laps back, getting back on the lead lap, pretty slim to none.
Yeah, he's gonna be in a hole next week, I would think, as Whitley tapped the wall, Banks tapped the wall, but it's worst case scenario. I mean, no one wants to really see someone's title hopes go down because of internet. If it happens on track, whatever, but he doesn't even get to control his destiny, which is really a shame. He's already 6-7 laps down. And as we look at the racing on track, we could see, even with fresher tires, you can see how tough these passes are. Jeff Wright pit around lap 43. Or excuse me, yeah, lap 44. He pit on lap 44. Joshua Banks pit really only 2 laps after that, so not that big of a deal. And he still cannot make this pass. But here comes Mark Whitley, who pit about 6 laps after the 48, 4 laps after the 35. He's closed in on both of these drivers, as they're all closing in on Bailey Turner, who might be trying to stretch this. As here goes Banks, he got a good run off of 2 that time, but it's going to be a hard pass to make. He's going to dive into turn number 3, trying to get that position before the 48 can stay on his outside, but he's going to have to deal with the 48 on corner exit, and Whitley might look to make it 3 wide.
He looked there briefly. He's got a good run off the exit. It's about 6 lap pressure tires here for Whitley as well. And you have the 24, who's on much older tires, 3 wide, just in front of Whitley.
And that's what Jeff Wright wanted to see. The 24 is going to pinch Banks down off the corner, so Jeff Wright's going to be able to defend the 35 and the 77 for at least one more set of corners. As he almost hit the grass, he went so low on corner entry, as Whitley's fresher tires got all the clean air on the bottom of the racetrack out of turn number 4, but he just couldn't quite get to the left rear of the 35.
So Banks sends it back into turn 1. Here's Whitley with his late apex to the inside off of 2.
And Banks had a run on Jeff Wright, but now he has nowhere to take it because of Mark Whitley being down there.
Close quarters racing, almost some contact again here off the exit of 4.
We'll see if
contact again.
That's the second time those two have hit tonight. It's probably not the last time. I think Whitley's going to have that spot from Banks, and he should probably get the 48. He might get him here even.
There's Casey Lakatos just trying to get his lap back. Meanwhile, Carlisle is leading this thing.
Whoa, they're going to hit again that time. Whitley slid it up the track and kind of used Jeff Wright as a brake, but he's pretty much going to take what is effectively going to be the race lead with that move. Getting rough here tonight.
It's not over yet. Here comes Banks to the inside. He's been trying to get around the 48 this whole time. This is what kind of created this situation. Now Lakatos is going to put his nose in there, prevent Banks from running his line again.
It's a teammate of a 35 as well, so that's kind of interesting that he's going to get around the 35 with ease, but he'll get to the right rear of Jeff Wright as well. Maybe a little bit of an advantage for Banks, but he lost time to the 48 because of that.
Now lap traffic becoming a factor. The 77. Ron Carlisle came down pit road, so now Whitley will take over the point. There's Carlisle with his 16 laps led. Left side's going up on this machine, and not quite to the halfway point. So for him, doesn't look like anybody was able to make it to lap 75. And even then, if they were, Bailey Turner is about the only driver realistically that's going to make this a one-stopper, if you will. He did have a pit stop there at lap 11 to lengthen this run out.
And Philip Brewer were able to do so, were the ones pitting. So I think those two might be able to do it. What was it? I think Carlisle with a caution was about 7 laps short of halfways. I think the 24 clutched in once again there. But he was 7 laps short with a caution to save some fuel under. It's going to be really tight for Turner. I'm not sure if he can do it as Mark McFadden's pulled off the track. But I don't know if he has a choice at this point with the pass-through penalty that he had to serve. It put him so far behind as Banks is still working over Jeff Wright. Just can't make this pass. But I think Bailey Turner's hand is forced here. I think he has to at least try this.
Just not able to clear
Not
the
quite.
48.
He came so close to doing it. If he wanted to really get aggressive, he could have, but he chose not to. I think if he wants, I think he'll slide him here and have it, and Jeff Wright will have the opportunity to cross over, but Banks actually stayed low, so Jeff Wright's just going to take the right rear again. But, oh, that time he ran out of room. Now Banks has a spot.
So we settle down here at the halfway point. Green flag pit stops have been completed. Only driver yet to make a green flag stop for actual service is Bailey Turner. He did have a pass-through penalty, sitting in the 4th spot right now. I mean, what a recovery, though, for the 24 team. You get that pass-through, and I know that we still have to see if the strategy is going to work as he's on the clutch pedal again through 1 and 2. But what it would be to keep yourself in this championship hunt after all of the adversity that he's had to deal with in the early part of this race.
I think if he pulls it off and gets a decent finish out of it and stays in the title hunt, I think you'd call that job successful even with the penalty. Just he's got to do what he has to do at this point as that battle for second is going to subside. You can see how spread out this field's gotten. 16 seconds from Mark Whitley to Christopher Hodges, who's in the 10th position. He just fell back to that position. Ray Massey, J.R. Shepard, Taylor Butcher Benjamin just got by the 51, but very, very spread out field.
So since we're just shy of that halfway point, perfect opportunity to find those volume knobs, that remote control, wherever your children hide it. Let's turn it up and get loud. Presented by 29 Graphics.
Let's do it.
Let's get loud, presented by 29 Graphics. You're still watching here. Jeff Wright starting to lose some ground. He's about 1.1 seconds back from Joshua Banks. 3-4 seconds back from Mark Whitley, who's just checked out from the rest of this field. Was able to navigate that lap traffic. Has pulled away here on lap 77. Bailey Turner now kind of in that window of he could make it here, theoretically. We saw the 50 machine of Lakatos go this far. We've seen a few others that have been able to stretch that run. The 71 of Carlisle is the one that sticks out to me. It was about 58 laps, so we're right on the edge of that here for Bailey Turner. If he can just stretch this another 5 laps, I'd feel really comfortable with his chances.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get him the race win with how much time he's losing doing this. He's already back to pretty much he's pretty much back to where he was before pit stop started. He was about 15 seconds behind Mark Whitley once pit stop started. He's almost back to that gap again. It's about 11 and a half now, or maybe a little higher than that.
Here he
He's
comes
going to
down
make it
pit
to lap 79, so he'll probably have to do some more saving. He'll have to go about 71, 72 laps on this next tank, and that's 3 longer than what Carwile did with a yellow to help him, so that's going to be tough to do. He's probably going to have to save this entire run, but he's pretty much got no choice. It's going to be tough to... He's going to have to try to get a top 5 or top 10 out of the day, because without the yellow, there's no catching this guy right now. He's figured it out.
Yeah. Absolutely, Mark Whitley playing on a different level right now. Joshua Banks 3.5 seconds back here, still navigating that lap traffic, and you got 2 drivers in front of him there. It was the 81, just about got into the side of the 32. That's Matt Shinosky and Nick Wood.
And majority of the battles for position are a lap down right now. Wood losing that spot to Shinosky. They both get by Austin Belkey, or Austin Belkey's about to pass them both, I should say. He's got a little bit fresher tire. But this is going to make strategy a little easier for the drivers who stay lead lap, because we're just losing cars on the lead lap. Kyle Peacock is the next one who's getting ready to go a lap down. He's in 15th position.
There's Whitley now diving to the inside. The 16 of Michael Jones already a lap down here in 25th position. 4 cars rather off of the track. 5 of Mark McFadden, the 73 notably of Joseph McWhorter. Eric Garrison and Johnny Rapp have all parked it behind the wall. Connection issues there for the 73. And Whitley all the way down, almost looked like he was entering pit road as he tries to pass the 16. He'll clear coming out of 4.
It almost looked like Michael Jones was running Homestead, not New Hampshire, and Peacock was kind of blocking him, chasing him up the track a little bit. It's so weird to see New Hampshire race like this. It's a car in the grass off it too. It's Christopher Hodges. It looks like we're going to stay green, but he had a slide from 23rd. So he's going to lose another lap. He's about to go 2 down. It's going to take Whitley off his line a little bit, but shouldn't hurt him too badly, as Brian Carwile is getting back through the field after stretching his fuel the longest. He just got the 9th position from Jonathan Smith.
Remember, Carwile stretched it over 60 laps to be here. Interested to see when the 71 will bring it back down pit road. We know he can't make it till the end. He tried to make it one stop. It was quite the run there. Led 16 laps back into the top 10 now for the 71.
He's just trying anything. He is probably the furthest back of the people who still have a chance at the title. 15 points coming into tonight, so definitely needed something to happen, something to go his way. Probably had to try a little bit something different to gain some points to be within striking distance. It could still work for him. We'll have to wait and see. I think everyone still has to make a stop, but it hasn't hurt his position too much. He's been running kind of in the middle of the top 10. He's not too far off of that once he gets to Shepard, Kibbe, Butcher, Benjamin. Derek Garrison's running in the 10th position, one of the drivers he's already gotten by. But how about in that 5th position? J.R. Shepard, haven't talked about him a lot this season. He's driven through this field to get into the top 5.
18 positions gained. We were mentioning his tear earlier in this race, and he's been consistent, running a little bit different line than your top 4, but you know, it's working for him. He keeps on trucking. He's been able to save his tires, stay on the stint with the rest of these guys. It hasn't been a fluke. Usually when you see guys tear through the field that early, 30 laps into the race, they usually fall back to where they began, or worse, later half of the run. That's not been the case here for the 98.
He's done a really good job just gaining positions one at a time, being very, very conservative with how he makes his moves. He's done a good job so far, and he's running pretty consistent times. They're maybe 0.2 of a second off of what the race leader's doing, but he's actually pretty close to second place Joshua Banks' lap times right now, so a very good pace at this point in the race.
4.2 seconds separate Joshua Banks from Mark Whitley, who is coming down the front stretch now for lap 88. We'll pass the halfway point. And the total mileage here of over 150 miles. Loudon, New Hampshire. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick commercial break here on VSPEED. You're watching the Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors. More coverage will continue right after this.
What's up, everyone? I am Joshua Banks, driver of the number 35 Matco Tool Supra.
Comes back. He's going to send it to the inside. They're 3 wide for the race lead. They're going to Joshua Banks is going to win it. Unbelievable.
And also co-owner of M&J Distributors for the sponsor of Saturday Night Racing. So I just want to thank every single one of you for tuning into tonight's race. I hope you will put on a good show for you guys. I hope that you will enjoy it. So if you do, make sure you drop a thumbs up to VSPEED and subscribe to them, because they, as y'all know, if you haven't already, they put on some great broadcasts. So I'll make this short and sweet. The main reason for sponsoring Saturday Night Racing League is because I've been with these guys for a long time. I've raced with a lot of them. I've been through some rough times, some good times, and arguments and everything like that. But still, grand scheme of things, been through a lot of these guys, and I really do like where this league's going. I want to support it. They've given a lot to the league already, and I think, you know, I'm capable to support back. So that's what we're doing, and we want to keep this league free, you know, for people to join, to have a good time, come in and race and just have fun, you know, and that's what we're all about. So that's the main reason, and that's all I really have to say about it. So I hope you do enjoy the race, enjoy the season coming up. We are hopefully going to put on a great season for you guys. Also, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Banksy the iRacer. Link will be in the description. Check out, and you can see my point of view, see what's happening on my end. If you want to watch it, it's completely fine. If not, no big deal. So come on over, hang out after the broadcast of this race, and hopefully we'll see you over there. If not, enjoy it, and I'll see you guys on track.
Lap traffic out of the way. It's between these two. They're even for the white flag lap.
This race still very undecided.
Bradley had the lift. Big run for McWhorter. This is going to be his chance.
They're running out of time, and they know it.
The bottom surges to the inside, now pulls even with Hutton off the turn number 2.
900 horsepower at their feet.
That was a huge run for Bradley. He got back the advantage, but here comes a big dive. McWhorter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, he put him in the wall. They're going to crash. They both crash. Here comes Ray Massey. Ray Massey's going to win it.
Racing enthusiasts, are you ready to take your sim racing experience to the next level? Look no further, because 29 Graphics has got you covered. Introducing 29 Graphics, the premier provider of high-quality sim racing wraps. Whether you're a professional racer or weekend warrior, our custom design wraps will make your car stand out from the competition. 29 Graphics is now the official graphics design partner of Saturday Night Racing League.
It's a big dive. McWhorter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, he put him in the wall. They're going to crash. They both crash.
Contact 29 Graphics on their Discord or the link in the video description.
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
In the heartland.
We're back here live at New Hampshire, where a yellow flag has fallen. During that commercial break, a little bit of turbulence with your second place driver and the 16, the 50, Casey Lakatos involved, the 16 of Michael Jones. Let's take it back on an instant replay here and show you what happened.
The only person who didn't want to see this yellow is Mark Whitley, but 35 and 16 kind of meet in the middle of the racetrack corner exit. Jones hits the wall hard. Lakatos has nowhere to go, gets pretty big damage on the front of his car. Philip Brewer did a good job avoiding it, as pretty much everyone lead lap is going to come down the pit. That hurts Bailey Turner big time because he was not the lucky dog, but you see right here, those two kind of just came together. Brewer, wow, he just barely avoided that, but Banks was kind of coming up the track while the 16 was kind of coming down. They kind of met in the middle, but you see Banks get sideways, shoots up the track right there. Michael Jones was a little lower on corner exit than maybe Banks was anticipating as well. I'm interested to see how that's ruled, but you can definitely see Banks had a big moment out of the corner as Whitley's off pit lane first. Banks is still going to get second, whether he meant to or not, which I don't think he did. That kind of benefits Joshua Banks because that guy was running away with it.
That puts us just over 50 laps to go. When we go back green, it'll probably be right at that mark. We had a moment there. We wanted to take a chance to talk to one of our drivers that was in playoff contention, or chase contention rather, and Connor Horn is caught up with Joseph McWhorter.
Yeah, I got Joseph McWhorter at the virtual infield care center. Joseph, saw you lag out and you haven't granted the race. What happened with you?
Yeah, we were coming through 1 and 2. I was about to make a move on the 16, and my entire rig just froze. I literally couldn't see anything. My all 3 monitors were white. My picture in my VR headset was completely still. So as soon as it happened, I pulled the wheel hard to the left to try and get in the grass and stop, and I accidentally smoked the wall and killed the car. So we're pretty much done. Just super bummed, but I mean, with the way our season's gone, I mean, we didn't really deserve a championship. I mean, even to be close like we were going into night, it was nice having some speed, but just really bummed for my guys. Been a real bummer of a season, but we still got Las Vegas left. We won there last season. Maybe we go out with a bang and try and get a win.
Yeah, obviously you had a good run at Las Vegas last season. Obviously, it's kind of crushing, maybe disappointing what happened tonight. Not maybe, it is disappointing. How do you rebound and go out there, get a smile on your face, and go for the win next week?
Yeah, just do the same thing as what we have all season. You know, we've not had a lot of speed, and we've not had a lot of really good luck. So, you know, I just got to go out there and do what we've been doing all season, and that's just keep fighting. We haven't given up, even though there's been times that I've wanted to. But you know, it got us to be close and put ourselves in the conversation for the championship. So, you know, we'll just go out, we'll have fun. You know, we got nothing to lose next week. We're already out of the championship, so we can just go have fun. I hate seeing this track in the playoffs. This track has bitten me 4 times now for championships, and it's just very frustrating. Oh man. So yeah, we're gonna go have some fun next week. We got a new spotter. He was doing a great job getting me some speed, but you know, hopefully we can go out and not have brake pedal issues like last season and actually be able to contend for it.
McWhorter going for another win at Vegas. He will not compete for the championship as we got the green flag delayed here. Joseph, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks guys. Enjoy the show tonight, and hopefully our teammate can go out there and get a win. And I don't know who to root for the championship. I guess we'll see what happens at the end of this.
We'll see indeed. Thanks for talking to us, buddy.
All right, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
I mean, you try to keep your head up high the whole time, and one after another. Now it's connection, VR, rig shuts down. Maybe involved in incidents that weren't your doing. I think that started from the beginning of the season for the 73, and you know, we could kind of count it as that sophomore slump. You have a lot of success the season prior, and you come out looking to do the same, and nothing goes right.
We could say that, but in other series, in other leagues, you know, kind of the talent pool will stay the same if it's a league that's established. The talent pool in this league has expanded and grown every season. I think that's kind of been a product of that this season, where he had a very good season last season. He's had a good season this season, just hasn't been able to win. Still good in points, but definitely has struggled and been involved in a lot more incidents. So definitely a little bit of a slump for sure, but he's still been fast. He's had that speed.
Green flag back underway. Caution there on lap 96 with Casey Lakatos and the 16 of Michael Jones. That sets this field back up for, we're about to have a shootout here for 50 laps.
Haley Turner was the lucky dog, by the way, so in a way he is back in this. Had a lot of wave arounds. They're 3 wide at the back of the field with those wave arounds, but for everyone else, like Banks, like Jeff Wright, they at least maybe have another shot at the 77 of Mark Whitley.
It's going to be a tall order, though. The Whitley has shown that he can run the long run better than anybody else. Before that caution, the lead was over 5 seconds deep. Back to Joshua Banks. It's already starting to grow here, and a spin Benjamin's around.
Somehow everyone missed him.
We had the camera on the 10 as it happened.
I don't know how he got missed. That was in front of pretty much half the field. He was running 10th. 9th, I should say.
There's the contact with the 7. Ray Massey helps him around the rest of the way. The 43 of Shoemaker. He got a piece of the wall there, but everybody else able to miss this.
He missed the 10, but at what cost? He hit that wall pretty hard. But let's look at the overhead view. We'll see from what the 43 sees here, really nothing. Contact happens there. Now he sees a car after a 63 gets out of the way, turn right. Oh, wall. Yeah, that was a pretty decently sized hit. You can see with these two again, that was almost the same thing again with the driver on the inside bottoming out, shooting up the track, and not being able to get away from the driver on the inside. Yeah, you can see he kind of shot up out of nowhere. Did a good job locking it down, and really doesn't get big damage out of it, but just so hard to keep the car pinned down unless you go to the apron like we've seen the leaders do. Right there. And he's gone at that point. And I think Bryce Shoemaker should get a Christmas card, because that could have been bad.
We should all be getting Christmas cards here from SNR. This has been another successful season. And I talked about it briefly there, Connor, but how many leagues do you see just fall apart there in the final 5 races? Once they reset the points, you have a car count of over 20 every single week. As soon as they reset those points, you're happy to have 15 on the track. This league has been consistent of over 20 cars. At one point during the beginning of the season, they were having to refuse drivers based off qualifying effort because we had over 44 cars trying to get into the grid.
Even last week, we had cars, or 2 weeks ago, we had some drivers not make the race. So that shows how impressive this league has grown in a quick hurry. One thing that's helped that is we've had that bracket challenge going on with even the non-chase drivers, some of those drivers that are involved. Let's see, I'm trying to look at what the matchups were for that. Tonight, the one matchup was Casey Lakatos versus Brandon Wallace. Brandon Wallace didn't show up, so Lakatos has got a date with the final in Vegas. He's facing probably Austin Belkey. Mark McFadden's out of this race, so pretty much the final set. There's no drama there. It'll be Austin Belkey versus Casey Lakatos for that bracket challenge champion title, I suppose. So that'll be interesting to watch those two next week. They've kind of been running around each other a majority of this race. Belkey's in the 18th position. Lakatos, after he got in a little bit of an incident, is just in front of him in 16th.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that bracket up here. I had it on my setup there when I was in Vancouver. Have not carried that over, so I'll try to get that sorted out for you guys in just a moment here.
I'm interested in how this race plays out for the rest of the night. Pretty much majority of everyone has, I think, 2 tire sets left. We saw Whitley and most of these drivers pit once under green, then once under caution. You have Bailey Turner, who I believe has gone through 3 sets now. I think he only has 1 set left, so as does maybe Philip Brewer, Philip Brewer just took the wave around, so he should probably... Yeah, he has probably 1 set left too. So Brewer and the 24 have 1 set left. So they got to strategize these last 50 laps very carefully from where they're sitting. But you can see the bracket right there. Brandon Wallace didn't show up. Lakatos, the 1 seed, will advance. And Austin Belkey, the 6 seed, will beat McFadden tonight and advance to face the 50 in Vegas.
So there you go. Doubled back up. Lap 106, about to be 107. Less than 50 to go. And 2 hungry drivers in this championship hunt in the top 5. Joshua Banks, Jeff Wright, trying to get around the 77, who's been dominant in the second half of this race. Green flag out, back underway in Loudon, New Hampshire.
Not a good getaway for Whitley. Banks actually stayed to his right rear here, trying to get that overlap, and he drove hard through 1 and 2. He might clear the 77. He drove it in so hard through the center of the corner. Oh, they made cut. Whitley held on to it. Brewer's into the grass, but Banks, an incredible drive through corner entry, in the middle of the corner to get the lead away. Whitley's not
Wait,
going
hold on to it, though.
fight.
He's not going to give up. Back to the outside again.
That was the third time they've hit tonight.
That was heavy contact.
I don't think they're
They're
done.
going to do
Look
it
at
again.
this. There goes Jeff Wright, 3 wide. Thanks to the lead.
Banks just got a break there. Jeff Wright putting his nose in there prevented Whitley from getting that drive off on center. He'll cut the door off there to try to keep Jeff Wright from doing it again.
All right, was going to move him here. He did hit him, but it wasn't big enough to affect the 77. Here comes Ryan Carwile to third.
Carwile on the outside. Gets around the 48 of Jeff Wright. And now is going to take the heat to the 77. This is another one of those drivers that has led some laps today. 16 in the books now for Carwile.
Spin at the back. It's Nick Wood, and that did bring the caution out.
We're going to rack him back up again.
What a restart. That was wild. It takes one yellow to just flip the race on its head. This was Mark Whitley's race, no doubt. Now you got like 3 other drivers that are in this fight. That's what happens. That's how these races go. Sure, Whitley's probably the only one that was unhappy about that yellow. Now he's really unhappy, but this was a remarkable restart by Banks, as we'll see here. I mean, I thought he got a good restart, a good get-off. We'll get into the restart zone here. He actually went before Mark Whitley there, but clearly didn't get a penalty for it. And Whitley still had the nose almost the full car length ahead of him into 1. But right here, Banks just sends it. He just throttles up and saying, I am getting this spot one way or another. But he didn't fully clear Whitley. He gets sideways off the corner, comes down a little bit, hits Whitley's right front fender. And then Whitley thinks, okay, I'm not dealing with this. He sends it in hard in the 3. Maybe trying to get payback, but really just trying to pass the 35, and it's stuck. They stay dead even here.
Here's the next part. This is where it gets really interesting.
Jeff Wright just pit, by the way, so we'll note that after this. But yeah, this is where it gets interesting. Banks kind of pinches Whitley down, and then they get 3 wide. Like you said, this is where it helped Joshua Banks because Jeff Wright poked the nose in. Whitley could not get to the apron on corner exit where he wanted to be, and that's how Banks got the lead away. And then you brought Ryan that brought Ryan Carwile into the fight. Now he's into the 3rd position.
There's contact there with the 77 and the 48 just after that as well.
Whitley was trying to pinch and keep his position on track, keep his line, and 48 was trying not to have it. But either way, Whitley's 2nd, Carwile's 3rd, and Jeff Wright, I think he might finally be repairing that right rear quarter panel damage. And also just taking a set to go along with it.
It's about 10 laps in the stint for the top 10.
It's pretty much like when Bailey Turner pit. He was faster, even without the penalty. He was faster on 10-lap pressure tires.
Speaking of Bailey Turner, back here in 11th spot, where Max cost Jonathan Smith front and behind. 75 of Chuck Sweeting has found his way back into the top 5. This might fit more in the wheelhouse for the 75. Might go out here and get his first win of the season.
Been decently fast. He led more laps tonight than he has the entire season. The only time he led laps was when he led 6 at Atlanta about a month or so ago. He's led 13 tonight. He's been running top 10 pretty much all night, and his restarts helped him gain some of those positions back. Joe Shepard stayed 5th. Derek Garrison's up to 6th. You got 5th through 7th. It's all started 22nd or worse.
What do you think we pull Joshua Banks up here?
Ooh, I think he would enjoy that.
That was it. You were hounding me for like 60
Yeah,
laps.
we got Banks here in the booth. Joshua Banks, yeah, you were letting somebody have it there for a second.
Yeah, I almost blew it, but thankfully we recovered and now we still hold the lead. So see what we can do on this restart here. I don't know how Mark's good on the 2nd place restarts, but we'll see how we do. Try to maintain this lead.
Hey, you made it interesting there. Almost 3 wide coming off of turn 2. You sent it into the corner. Thing looked like it just hooked up. A little contact there, but you've got the lead coming into this restart.
Yeah, buddy, we're going to do what we can. But big picture, though, Jeff had to pit, get some damage fixed, so hopefully we can keep a gap on him, gain some points.
All right, points leader, good luck, man.
Yeah, we're going great. So think about it.
Banks in the 35. And yeah, we cut that one a little close, but hey, we got a word in with him, and he had some words for somebody out there on the racetrack, Connor. I don't know who that was directed at, but I have a feeling.
A little server muted on the button. I was late on the server mute button, but we got him muted before he said anything else.
All good. Green flag back underway. Good start here for Banks. He's going to go to the outside into turn 1, and a big gap here all the way down to the apron. I think that's the first time today we've seen him use that entry.
Whitley tried to do that over-under that he did earlier in the race. Didn't really work. Banks got the restart he needed. Just a little beating and banging back there. I think Eddie Trejo. Oh, Jonathan Smith and Shinosky have crashed, but they kept it straight. There's going to be no yellow. Shinosky's taking the road course. He went so far down on the racetrack. You'll see him enter the picture here. You saw him right there. They kept it straight. Still green. That was a big hit for Jonathan Smith.
Back on the instant replay right quick while we have an opportunity. This is off of turn 2. Like Bailey Turner was down there on the bottom. Chaos ensues down the backstretch.
Trejo got into Jonathan Smith. They got locked together. Shinosky had nowhere to go but into the 21 and then onto the road course. Right there. I think he got spooked by the 50. Ran out of room.
We also saw a little blink there from the 72. He reappeared to the outside. Meanwhile, lap 116 underway. Joshua Banks has pulled out half a second in this clean air. Mark Whitley, Chuck Sweeting. We were talking about Jeff Wright coming down pit road to get that damage repaired. He's moved back up to 13th already.
He got damage repaired, but he also did get tires. It wasn't just the repair of the quarter panel, so we'll see if he can make hay on these tires. I think at this point he would want this to go green to the end, keep this tire advantage.
He's pretty much the only driver outside this top 10 that's working that bottom. As you see, 3 wide with Trejo and Cost on the exit of turn 2. But he's the only driver that's taking it all the way down there outside of this top 10. You see Lakatos touching the apron there just in front of him. Jeff Wright's going to get kind of a 2-for-1 this lap.
Just got to go where they ain't. When you're on fresh tires, everyone's using the main lane. You got to just go somewhere where no one else is running, or where mostly no one else is running. Just trying to get the cleanest air in the nose possible. Use the tires to your advantage best you can. That's how he's going to have to make his way back to the front and maybe gain some points on the 35 near the end of this run, if the tires can last that long before evening out.
Speaking of evening out, the lead has went stagnant. It was half a second. Now it's back down to just over 3/10. And Banks starting to feel the pressure. Whitley surging back to the point. Off of turn 2, has a good run down the backstretch.
Whitley just has it figured out. Whether he's shifting, hitting the brakes, low brake bias, whatever it is, he has the way to drive this track figured out. And Banks, at least his advantage now is having clean air, and he can put that dirty air on the nose of Whitley, but Whitley's able to avoid it on corner exit. He's able to send it in pretty much as hard as Joshua Banks, but he's just so much better at getting a clean exit of the corner, and he's able to gain a lot of that time back, plus gain some when he does what he does. Going to the apron like that, he's just much more smooth on exit, and it's working right now.
Have seen, though, that the inside has been rather impossible to complete passes. We've seen a lot of battles here tonight where that inside groove can get you to the door, and that's about it. So interesting to see if Whitley will be able to complete the pass on the 35. If he does get to the inside, that looks like where he's prevailed is on that inside groove. Later apex here for the 77. Another good drive off of turn 2. He's at the bumper.
He is going to probably make contact. I think one main difference might be shifting point. I think Whitley's shifting down to third, at least from what I can hear. It might be wrong, it might be a glitch, but from what I can hear, Whitley's shifting down to third a little earlier than Joshua Banks. I think that's helping him slow the car down earlier before the center of the corner, and that's why he's able to get that much better, straighter, and cleaner exit than the 35. The shifting point makes a big difference. They are going so low at it, too, they're almost hitting that inside wall.
We'll ride on board here with the 35, and you can hear how early the downshift is. 35 actually oversends it a little bit into that entry, but looks like it's going to work for him there on the exit of 4. Now on board with Banks to see his shift point. He's aiming for that cone. Oh, and slides it on the entry.
Can't believe how much he's sliding it into entering the corner.
Seems to be working so far, but I think he's on borrowed time with that entry.
And how much those two have hit tonight, I would be surprised if Whitley would be willing to get physical with Joshua Banks for this spot, but Banks talked about it. He's got to think big picture. If he finishes second to Mark Whitley, that's perfectly fine. He's gaining points on everyone else he's fighting for the championship, so he can't afford to get wrapped up into a bumper-to-bumper battle with the 77. It's not really worth it at this point. Speaking of the 48, he just got the 6th, but here comes Whitley for the lead. He blocked the 77 a little bit there. There's more contact.
And now here's the moment where is it going to be possible to get around? He backs up the entry to 3. Here he's going to get the run off of 4 all the way down to the apron. Another decent run off of the exit. Banks did not have a good exit out of turn 2 that last time by.
No, and he washed up the track again. Whitley's got him. He got clean air on centered exit, and he's going to have another good run.
He slides.
Out of 2. He's going to barely hang to the left rear, but he's putting all the pressure on the 35 now. He's not even entering the corner as deep either. That's a big part of why he can get a better exit as well. Just build up that momentum on corner exit.
Banks is going to keep pinching him down there, though. This has been a little bit better for Banks. He's backed up his corner entry without having that 77 right behind him. He's going to hold on to it a little bit longer. 25 laps to go.
I think sooner or later Whitley will get physical with him, though. Maybe not with the rear bumper, but if he gets to the inside of Joshua Banks, Banks keeps pinching him down, he's just going to end up using him up and just forcing him up the track. And that's where it could get ugly, possibly, but he's being pretty patient with Banks right now. Jeff Wright's gotten up to 5th on those fresh tires, but his times are pretty much even with everyone else around him now.
Looking off the back of Chuck Sweeting. This is back at Ryan Carwile, who's been very fast. Both these cars have seen the top 5 at some point tonight, but Ryan Carwile has led some laps, as has Chuck Sweeting, Joshua Banks, Mark Whitley, Bailey Turner.
Here we go. He's got positioning on the bottom now into 1 for this lead. How hard does Banks pinch him? Pretty hard.
This might be the drive off, though, that the 77 gets it. He'll stay right at the door. On the entry of 3. Nose to nose. Gotta be careful. Seen how many times tonight drivers bottom out there on the entry of these corners and slide up into one another.
That's the thing, when Banks pinches him, there's nothing Whitley can do. So he's either got to back off and maybe try to get physical or just drive him up out of the groove. I think he's going to start inching up the track more and more the later we get in this race. Yes, he's getting a better exit still. Oh,
he's
big
really sideways and big contact. More contact.
Oh, he saved it. Gosh, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to get physical at some point when you're getting raced so tightly. Eventually, it's going to go sour. It almost did. I don't think Banks did anything wrong that time other than just how hard he's pinching. Whitley gets a little sideways right here. Cautions out live. Bryce Shoemaker's crashed. As you can see, these two get together. Whitley just kind of goes into Banks there. I don't think Banks did anything wrong, but either way, caution's out. Like I said, it's Bryce Shoemaker who's crashed hard. What a battle that was shaping up to be.
We'll have about 20 to go. Just under that when we go back green, but here's Bryce Shoemaker off of 4, comes across the nose of Philip Brewer hard into the inside wall. And that looks like a blown engine for the 43 of Bryce Shoemaker.
That's race done for sure. I don't think there's much that Philip Brewer could do. We get an overhead view of that. Keith Shoemaker hits the wall, and Brewer's already on his bumper. I don't think there was much he could do there. Unfortunate timing. But that is how that run ends, and I think pretty much everyone's taking their final set of tires here. And I don't know if the car's handling good enough for 2 tires, but if you're gonna take 2 tires at any point in the race, you probably do it here. This pretty much makes it a wash for Jeff Wright as well. He pit from 3rd, or no, he pit from 4th, he's 5th, so didn't work out too badly for him, I suppose, as everyone's gonna pit, unsurprisingly.
Who's going to try 2 tires here?
I think if anyone, I was about to say, I think if anyone does, it's Bailey Turner or Ryan Carlisle. They need track position to gain points and maybe try to win this title. They're the furthest 2 back, so I would not be shocked if they try something.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, Bailey Turner. Shocking no one. Banks and Whitley. Whitley got him. Whitley got Banks off pit lane. And that is pretty key as well. Now it comes down to what lane Bailey... It kind of comes down to what lane Bailey Turner wants to choose here. I think if he gives Mark Whitley the top and he gets to run off of 2, I think Whitley's going to get the spot. But if he takes the bottom, Banks can get the run on the bottom of Whitley, and then maybe they could come together. This is going to be very interesting.
We haven't seen the end of the fireworks yet. You know that Banks is hungry for a win. He would also have a little bit of a disadvantage right now, depending on where Bailey Turner starts. Like you said, what lane he chooses. He also has Jeff Wright right behind him. So this could still, end up being a day where Banks doesn't gain anything. After all of this, after everything that's happened in this race, we're right back to almost square one.
Yeah, if Turner picks the outside, it might end up actually putting Chuck Sweeting. It give him an advantage because he'd be lining up right behind the 24 and could get the jump off the race leader on the top side. So that could end up being a factor as well, as Wright came out of pit lane 5th. I think he passed Carlisle, but...
What would you do here, Connor?
On the restart? I think I don't know if I want any of those guys behind me. I don't think I'd want Whitley or Banks behind me on a restart when I'm on 2 tires, but I think you gotta take the bottom. I think it's a better line for the restart in 1 and 2, but you gotta be able to defend the bottom line in 3 and 4, so I think for restarting purposes, you want to be on the bottom. That's what he took.
Well, and hopefully he's practiced with 2 tires and knows how this thing's going to handle, because he's been down there on the apron. We know how loose cars get on 2 tires, especially in this B car.
No chance he's practiced.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this information other than sit back and enjoy it.
I think some of us are going to enjoy this. This could get dicey, though. Banks just cannot get, like we've been talking about it, he almost got turned down the back. He just cannot afford to get in an incident. If he just finishes up here, top 3, top 5, the guys behind him, the 48, the 24, the 71, they're not going to gain that much on him. He just needs to keep a level head best he can.
Green flag back underway, less than 20 to go. It's going to be a shootout, a great restart there for Joshua Banks. He got around Whitley. Jeff Wright to the inside here. And here comes Banks on the high line.
I wonder if they had some timing action going on there. Banks was on his bumper. Here goes Whitley. He's diving to the bottom. He chopped the nose of Jeff Wright, and Wright kind of hit him up the racetrack. But Banks is not going to get Bailey Turner that easily.
On the high line here for the 35, has the momentum going down the front stretch. Change for the lead on lap 135. And Whitley cuts the nose off again of the 48 of Jeff Wright. Almost some contact going into 2.
That bottom line is strong. Even on 2 tires, that 24 is holding serve down there. Where does Whitley go with 4 tires as well? He dove hard to the bottom, unsurprisingly there. But we saw how hard Banks is going to pinch a 77 sideways for Whitley. This is a dogfight. He got 5 drivers under the blanket for the lead.
Whitley just wants to lead back. If he can get back there, he can check out from this field. Banks has got the nose advantage into 1, but Turner all the way to the bottom. A slide job contact.
35 hit him. Here comes Whitley.
3 wide down the backstretch.
that's going to be bad for Banks, but this is all right for Bailey Turner, I think. They're going to make contact big time there. Turner's going to be out of this fight, and we're back to square one.
And now Banks picking up where they left off there before that caution, fighting with Mark Whitley, trying to keep him at bay. Whitley's got to go back to the drawing board here. Another sin from the 24 car. And Chuck Sweeting on the high line. He's going to work his way to third.
I think he's going to clear him here. But Sweeting's definitely in this fight, especially with how aggressive those two have raced each other. He's kind of trying, he might play the role of Ray Massey at Chicagoland if things get crazy. He's on the bumper of Whitley. Whitley's trying to gear it up for another run to get the 35s inside. This late, I think he's got to put the bumper to the 35, get him out of the groove. I don't think he can waste time being on his inside and risking contact like that. Jeff Wright's going to look for fourth.
Another good run off of turn 2. Jeff Wright looks to the inside for third position. Gonna send it in front of the 75. Washes up the track here slightly. Still not able to clear. Chuck Sweeting gonna hold on to the third position out of turn 4.
The more they battle, lets these two get away. No matter how much contact they make, if they get too far out in front, it's not gonna matter. Banks, big slide. Here goes Whitley. Oh, sideways. Banks drifted off the corner. Whitley's got the left rear. How hard can you really drive it in? Banks drove it in harder still, kicking that right rear out. Once again, gives Whitley that exit out of the corner, but not as good.
It's been better in 1 and 2 for the 77 of Whitley. But how many more times can you go down there to the inside before we see what we saw on the backstretch? Holy cow, Jeff Wright just sent it in front of the 75.
He wanted positioning on the outside, and he's got it now, but he might have given up too much time to the 75 in doing that. But if he can just keep it around the outside here, I think he'll have this spot. Sweeting tried to defend it. He couldn't, so 48 car to third.
Into the wall a little bit.
Didn't hurt him. He's all good. 10 laps to go.
Oh my, if you were the 35 right now, you've got your work cut out for you. This is one of those races that you probably didn't have it on pace, but now positioning, because it's so difficult to pass, you're a menace to the 77.
I think the 77 could be a menace to the title fight, and Banks has to be aware of that. Big run here. Oh, contact! They made contact into the corner. They kept it straight again. Banks up the track. Whitley's trying to drive him up a little bit, but even still, they're going to be side by side. Oh, I think Whitley's going to have it here. He has a little bit of positioning on him entering the corner to where he can just kind of muscle him out. Whitley's going to slide up in front of him. Banks trying to pull the crossover. They're going to make more contact here. This could get ugly. Not going to happen. Whitley gets the spot.
And is he out of anything? Does he have anything left for him? Here comes Jeff Wright into the mix as well. But this could be all she wrote. Mark Whitley could drive away with this. This is clean air, and he's been getting off these corners better than anybody else today. I think it's going to take a full send here from Banks to just get into the back bumper. He's got Jeff Wright right behind him, though. I don't know if he wants to try that.
I don't think he can afford to. Unless it's like the final corner, but even then, Whitley could have another shot at him. He's got to really pick his battles wisely here. But he is still on the bumper. He's still in striking distance.
Some 3 wide action back here deep in the field.
He almost got into Whitley. He's still fighting hard, but he lost time on exit there. And they were 3 wide back there with Garrison.
Yeah, Garrison, Eddie Trejo, Philip Brewer, they'll settle that down, and the 44 goes up to 13th. And back up to this lead battle. Jeff Wright on the heels of Joshua Banks, who's trying to get back to the lead. Seems like the exit speed here keeping Whitley just enough here that Banks isn't able to get to him, but what a sin there into 3.
I got reason to believe he's hunting for the bumper. He just can't quite get it. I don't think he wants to He's trying to bump him without wrecking him. If he wrecks him now, it's a 10-point penalty if he gets deemed at fault. It's not really a risk he needs to take. But I think he wants that bumper. I think he probably felt like he got squeezed by Whitley there and entering one. He
Not a
lost
good
lot of
exit
time
there,
that
yeah.
time. Bailey Turner just slid in front of Carwell, and Carwell gave him the bumper right back to him. That's for 5th.
They're side by side off of 4.
Yeah, that was a slider for sure. I don't think
4 to
Carwell.
go.
I don't think Carwell liked it. Almost some contact. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Ray Massey just made contact. They're making more contact for this 5th position. It's got to be one of the. This has got to be one of the best New Hampshire races on iRacing in the history. This is crazy racing.
3 laps to go. Carwell trying to clear the 24 who took 2 tires. Looks like 2 tires wasn't the answer here to try to get a victory. Now he's just trying to stay in the top 10. So he's got a lot of cars around. Looking to the inside now for the 98 as Carwell will clear off of turn 2. The 98 of J.R. Shepard on the quarter panel of the 24. Bailey Turner has a little bit of damage. Not sure where he picked that up, and I don't know if he knew he wasn't clear there, but he takes the 98 of Shepard down to the inside.
And clear enough if I'm Bailey Turner at this point, as 77 starting to check out. 2 to go.
So now the fight could be between the 35 and the 48. How much did the 35 use up his stuff? He's starting to open up the door for Jeff Wright. White flag will be coming out next time by. Can the 48 get around the 35? And he's closing a mile and a half.
If he wants to gain anything on the 35, he'd have to, but I don't think he's really quite close enough to do it. But Mark Whitley, all he cares about is getting to the white flag, not having green-white checkers, and he's got it.
Shepard gets passed by the 84 of Kenny Kibbe as this white flag comes out, and Bailey Turner settles back out in 6th spot. But here it is, one more time around at New Hampshire. The Harpoon Design 77 has had a dominant day, and he's going to seal the deal here off of 3 and 4. Big send there from the 35 and the 48, but nobody's getting to the back bumper. And the HDR 77 is going to be victorious in the 4th race of the chase.
What a drive. That was unreal fighting for that win. I think the dominant car won. That was a heck. That was such good racing between those two. And all through the field, it was good racing.
Plenty of highlight moments here, and as you said, probably one of the best races we've ever seen at New Hampshire. A lot of passing, a lot of dogfights, a lot of contact, but within reason. Mark Whitley probably feels like he passed 1,000 cars when really he was in the lead for a lot of the day.
And he's been fast in this league. He just couldn't piece it all together to get that victory until today.
Post-race interviews with your top 3, those final race results. Right after a quick commercial break, you're watching the Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors, live on VSPEED.
Racing enthusiasts, are you ready to take your sim racing experience to the next level? Look no further because 29 Graphics has got you covered. Introducing 29 Graphics, the premier provider of high-quality sim racing wraps. Whether you're a professional racer or weekend warrior, our custom design wraps will make your car stand out from the competition. 29 Graphics is now the official graphics design partner of Saturday Night Racing League.
It's a big dive. McWhorter might just try to run him out of room here. Oh, they put him in the wall. They're going to crash. They both crash.
Contact 29 Graphics on their Discord or the link in the video description.
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
In the heartland of our country, something magical is happening. At Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes, we know the power of community, of hands coming together to create wonders. These costumes are symbols of love, compassion, and inclusion. Your hands can craft dreams. Join us at Walkin' and Rollin' Costumes build events and be a part of something extraordinary.
Back live at New Hampshire, the Saturday Night Racing League presented by M&J Distributors has concluded its 151 laps here today. What a dogfight it was. Mark Whitley victorious. We had several different lead changes, several different drivers that found their way into the top 5 at any given point. 7 lead changes, 5 cautions. Mark Whitley, Joshua Banks, and Jeff Wright, your top 3. We'll get a word with them in just a moment. But it's Ryan Carlisle, Chuck Sweeting, the top 5. Those two very fast. Carlisle led some laps as well. Just could not get his way back into that top 3. Impressive finish here for Kenny Kibbe. He gained 16 positions to be here to 6th position. Bailey Turner a little off there in the end. Took 2 tires, fell out of the top 5. J.R. Shepard, biggest mover, actually lost that ground. Kenny Kibbe will actually be the biggest mover of the race. 15 spots gained for J.R. Shepard. He'll finish in 8th. Casey Lakatos 9th. He was your pole sitter tonight in the Clark Print Shop EOL Challenge. Did not get that done, and Kyle Peacock will round out your top 10.
And so it'll be $20 for the pole sitter. $20 for the pole sitter to win next week. Ray Massey finishes 11th. He pretty much ran around there all race. Taylor Butcher Benjamin had that spin. He recovered to 12th. Philip Brewer had a little incident there, I believe, in the middle of the race. 13th position for him. Derek Garrison, 14th. So 2 Brandt cars finished right next to each other. Eddie Trejo, he had that slide down the back straightaway, finished 15th. Nick Wood had a spin as well, 16th for him. Jerry Bergeron, 17th after starting in the 18th position. Austin Belkey will finish 18th. He'll be, along with Lakatos, he'll move on to that bracket challenge finale at Vegas. Max Koss finishing 19th after starting top 10. He ran top 10 decent amount today as well. And Christopher Hodges finished 20th tonight.
Jonathan Smith will be 21st spot with Matt Shinosky in 22nd. Keith Shoemaker 23rd. Michael Jones 24th. Bryce Shoemaker early exit to the day with about 20 laps to go. Hits the inside wall. Heavy damage on the 43. Mark McFadden an early exit to this race, 62 laps down. Joseph McWhorter also not a good day. Had problems with his setup and his rig. He will finish in 27th, 97 laps down. And then Eric Garrison and Johnny Rapp taking very early exits to the day, 28th and 29th. But with that, now we get to move on to your top 3. We have caught up with Jeff Wright in the number 48 machine. Your 3rd place finisher here today. Jeff Wright, I gotta say, it was one of those tracks that the 48 team doesn't typically do well at, but all in all, you do what Jeff Wright does best. You salvage the day and make a top 3 finish out of it.
Yeah, I can't be too disappointed with a top 3 finish, especially getting damage early on there. But yeah, we had to finish ahead of Banks to gain any points tonight. We didn't do that, so we're actually gonna lose 2 points. He finished obviously a spot ahead of me, and then also he led a lap where I did not. So it's gonna make it tough, for the championship battle. Josh is sitting in a really good spot now, but we'll just have to go to Vegas and try to control what we can control. Maybe try to go win the race, and then obviously Josh is going to have to, have a, have an off night, but that's usually not typical of Josh. So it's going to be tough to, overcome this, but yeah, we just needed we needed a little bit more tonight. I think we really needed to win to really gain, a handful of points on Josh to really have a shot at it. So, but big congrats to Mark. He drove a great race, and nobody was going to beat him on the long run tonight.
Well, let me talk to the league admin, Jeff Wright. You guys put on one hell of a show here tonight, probably the best that we've ever seen at New Hampshire. So big picture overall, the action was there, lots of door banging, lots of battles throughout the field. What is your opinion on the action that we saw tonight and the overall quality of this race?
Oh, I think, for a New Hampshire race, I don't think you can get really much better than this. I mean, from, my, vantage point watching, Josh and Mark go at it, and sometimes we're seeing 3 wide around here, which at New Hampshire is just not very common. I mean, at least in iRacing, it's not. So I think we put on a great show tonight. I'm excited to watch this one back on the broadcast for sure. And it doesn't look like it was, just for the lead or the top 5. It looks like really there was just great battles all the way around the racetrack tonight. And so, and with as tough of battles there was, we didn't have a ton of cautions either. So everybody drove a really clean race tonight. And this is going to be fun to watch back for sure.
So setting up here for the final race at Las Vegas, Jeff Wright needed to finish ahead of Joshua Banks. This is going to be a tough one, but there's still a chance. Play till the whistle. Jeff Wright, anybody you want to thank or shout out for tonight's 3rd place?
Yeah, big thanks to broadcast team as always. Like I said, I think this is going to be one of the more entertaining ones to watch back tonight, just because of all the action out there on the track too. So shout out to you guys, obviously all of our league sponsors that make this happen. Chad up in the booth, or up in the admin tower, kind of running things tonight. He also builds the setups for our league too, so appreciate all he does, and all the rest of the co-league admins that help put this on. So big thank you to everybody involved, and we got one more week to go out and have some fun, and we'll see where the cards unfold. Looks like it's gonna be tough to beat Josh, but we're gonna give it all we can.
Again, congratulations, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, man.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Jeff Wright, 3rd place finisher here tonight at New Hampshire. Connor Horn is caught up with the 35 of Joshua Banks, 2nd place finisher.
Yep, I got Joshua Banks, 2nd place, led 32 laps, Joshua, but Mark Whitley's pace was just too much to overcome. At the end of the day, it kind of got rough at a few times. Where do you think you needed to be better to hold him off?
He was rotating the exit a lot better than I was, and getting that car low and straight off. I was still probably turning the wheel when he was holding it straight and getting a better exit. And I just needed to do a little better with that, I guess. But I did all I could in the moment to try to fend him off. But once he got around me, I was thinking big picture. Jeff's right behind me, and we're going for a championship this time around. Finally, racing with these guys. It's almost weird to say that, but so knowing Jeff's behind me, so we're just trying to keep the car straight and not wrecking out or abusing the tires too much to where he catches me. So congrats to Mark, though. Definitely a hard fought win. Tough, hard racing. It was fun. Kind of reminded me of the Bristol win back in BTDY, where we raced with Shieldhouse and Ben and Jeff and such. So it was definitely a remnants of that kind of racing. It was fun.
Definitely looked fun from our point of view. I can imagine it was fun, but also stressful from your point of view. Balancing racing for the win with an aggressive driver versus trying to make sure you stay ahead of your championship competitors. How hard were you really thinking about that, battling for the win at all? Trying to keep Jeff and those guys behind you, or are you just focused on the win?
A mix of both. I definitely wanted to win to get the extra points on Jeff, because any points you can gain on him is huge. But thankfully tonight we come out with 2 points to the good on him, and that was the goal, was to maintain or at least gain, and we definitely did that tonight. And just hopefully Vegas next week I can, do the same and run really well. But Jeff's really good at Vegas. I've been practicing off screen and trying to figure out the best lines and tire management and such strategies, that kind of thing. So hopefully we go into next week and compete and maybe go out with a championship. You never know. But definitely tonight is a mixture, wanting to win, but also finish the race, keep the car clean, try not to wreck out and let Jeff finish in front of me. And therefore we did that, and here we are.
Definitely succeeded in that. And unofficially, you have a 11-point lead over the 48 going into next week. So congrats on the 2nd place. You keep the points lead going to the final race. And you want to thank or shout out?
Man, obviously we gotta, shout out Mark on this win, man. You know, the amount of racing that was, and the amount of door banging, the amount of sliding, the amount of sends and runs and everything. It was just really good racing. So we give Mark a hard time, but that was some good racing. And I knew when we raced short track racing in the off season, he was going to be a tough character to beat. So this track definitely is up his alley, and it proved it tonight. It was tough to beat. So Mark, shout out to him. Shout out to you guys up in the booth for y'all's probably epic broadcast tonight. So I bet it was obviously fun to watch, and I look forward to watching it. So thank you guys for what y'all do. And then the sponsors we have, of course, my sponsor, M&J Distributors, and all our other ones that are on board this season. And hopefully we've been putting on a good show all season, and making the sponsors proud to be on board with us. And all the admins, of course, for doing what they do with the league. I mean, a little lower field count than what we're used to, but still really good size, and very happy to see that. So thanks everybody for what they do with the league, and just keep this train rolling, man.
One more race this season. That man will enter that night the points leader. Joshua, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week with a shot at the championship.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you.
So now Joshua Banks comes home with an 11-point lead. That finally brings us down to victory lane with Mark Whitley and the number 77. Mark Whitley, I got to say, this was a hard fought one. It didn't need to be. I know the cautions kind of reset you and put you back in a few scenarios. And those restarts are ultimately what put you in that situation, but you're able to prevail and get that clean air. How are you rotating the bottom? How was your line different? What were you doing that made this thing so bad fast tonight?
Yeah, well, I got to honestly thank Banks and Jeff there, because at the beginning of the race, I was running up on the actual track there in the middle like I was in practice, and I was like, they were catch me, running that like apron down there, and then I had Joe's spotter being like, I think they're downshifting. I'm like, oh, well, I need to try that then, because I've been in fourth gear the whole race, and went down there and tried it for a few laps. It felt pretty good, and then after that, we started kind of walking away. And that second, after we pitted, and we came back out behind them and ran them down and passed them, and it felt so good just rolling the bottom there. It was like just hitting that entry just right where you kind of had left sides on the apron, right sides on the track. It would help it rotate, a little bit of trail brake, and really get a square exit and just plant the power. And it was just this, almost running the same line they were running in real life when they were running the wet tires earlier this year. I kept every now and then I would get close enough to the pit entrance where it'd pop up on my screen talking about the pit road speed, and I'm like, well, just make sure I don't get too close to it and hit the barrels or anything. But yeah, it was just rotating really good on the bottom, and I was a little worried there. And we got that caution. I was so far out in the lead, and I was just on a Sunday drive and didn't want to see it, but came down, had to race with Banksy there. He got a really good jump on the restart and got around me, and after that, I beat him on pit road the next restart we had, but then him and his teammates, they had a good restart, and I had to get back by him again, and that was just trying everything in my arsenal to try to get around him. And I think it was just long enough where he started to slide up off the bottom there. I could really get the power down and get off the corner. And I was me and John and Joe have been watching the Gateway Nationals all day, so I was just taking a page out of their book and just tried to throw the best slider I could to try to get clear of them. It worked, and I was able to get clear. And after that, it was just hitting your marks, don't mess up. I felt like Banks and Jeff were both a little bit better than me getting into the corner. They could drive it in a little bit deeper. It was just like they'd get right to me right when I'm about to turn down and get off the corner. So I was just worried that one of those times it would get timed wrong, and all of a sudden I'd be spinning like a top. But thankfully, we were able to stay just far enough ahead where I didn't have to worry about it. And just that last lap was a little nerve-wracking because it felt like I've had nothing but bad luck or stuff slip away for us here in this league. And glad to finally get off the snide and get a win, because it's been needed, because last few months on iRacing haven't been great. So this is a good little way to end the year.
We talked about that gap. It was just enough there on those exits that when you were coming into the corner, those guys couldn't get back to you. And thankfully for you, you were able to keep that clean air. Mark Whitley, congratulations. I know it's kind of one of those things you said that it's been rough here on iRacing in general, but especially here in SNR for you. But you finally code to victory lane, put it all together here at the end of season 3. Anybody you want to shout out?
Shout out Brantley for this awesome paint scheme. He wasn't able to spot tonight, but always appreciate him on the pit, up on the pit board and painting these awesome cars. They look awesome. Shout out to my teammates. Shout out to I'm terrible. I've dabbed names. Joe had a guest spotter and I done forgot his name, and he was helping me after Joe. He was awesome. He was helping me there at the end of the race, giving me lap times, giving me tire, like just all the information I needed. Really appreciate him. I think John had a good finish for once. He's been having almost worse luck than me for the last couple of years, it feels like. So I think he got a good finish out of it. Shout out to you putting on a broadcast, my family tuning in these broadcaster races. Just one of those races that just finally went our way, and glad to have it because it's been really wanting one.
Appreciate your time, Mark Whitley. We'll see you next week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, hopefully I can continue this luck and not what I did in Talladega, because I don't think I've ever torn up a race car as bad as I did at Talladega. That car was junk.
That's what it's known for. Appreciate it, though.
Later.
Mark Whitley, winner here tonight at New Hampshire in the second to last race of the season. Take a quick look at that schedule and final thoughts here, Connor. Well, we've already said it once, but what a phenomenal race. We're going to do it again here in just a week's time for the final race of the season. On season number 3, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What do you got to say about that, Connor?
It should be really fun. We saw all the chaos that happened in the race and the chase last season. It's what derailed Jeff Wright's title hopes last season. This season it was Talladega, but he's still not fully out of it. And Joshua Banks is the points leader, but Joshua Banks is not out of the woods quite yet. We know what Jeff Wright does on 1.5 mile racetracks. He's very fast. He's probably still the favorite to win the race. Joshua Banks, he has to focus on just having a good run. If he just runs top 5 and has an okay day in the top 5, there's not much else the 48 can do. And if those two have issues, you can't forget about Bailey Turner, Ryan Carlisle. They're 16 and 17 points back unofficially. If anything happens to those other two, they're still lurking there as well. But Banks just needs to have a decent race, top 5, top 10, and he'll be the 3rd different champion in 3 seasons.
Of course, you can catch that action at 10 p.m. Eastern Time here on VSPEED. Hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race as we have flag-to-flag coverage all season long here on VSPEED. But that's going to do it for us here. Saturday Night Racing League moves on to the desert in Nevada. We will see you next time here on VSPEED. For Adam Baker, Connor Horn, my co-commentator all season long, this is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your weekend. Stay tracking, and we'll see you next time.